Good morning, guys. This is Miguel. I'm going to do one more video for you because I really like doing these videos. Noticed we did parts, but we didn't do any actual buildings or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do an actual building, or I would say not necessarily a building, but a structure. Anyways, let's go to new, and we're going to create a new part for ourselves here. Double clicking on that. Okay, so now we got a new part. We're gonna call, I guess I clicked on it 3 times, so I got 3 different parts. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that. My machine is running a little bit slow for some reason. Maybe I got too many programs running. Let me close some of this stuff off here. Okay, so what we're looking at is how do we make a building per se, a structure or a vault that would go into the ground to house these pipes. So first of all, as usual, let's go to our origin and turn on our planes here. Stability on. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create the first step of it, which is a foundation. We're going to assume that this is a continuous pour for the actual building. So it'll be framed up and it'll be poured out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to start a sketch and build it here. Now, the important thing about here is not so much the object itself, but how you constrain it. Typically, I do things in the right-hand side because I have these 2 axes, but in this case, we want to constrain things with a reference to the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a rectangle here. And I'm taking it to the middle, right there. Now notice how these there's these symbols here. These symbols are for constraints. This here that says that these are perpendicular. This says that these are parallel. This says that this is parallel to this other line. I'm not sure exactly what this one means right here. If you go up here, you can see what they mean. It means it's horizontal. So that is a horizontal. It's a ground with a line over it, so it's parallel to that. But notice if we dimension this right here, and you change the dimension, let's say to 2, it does dimension everything. It spreads things out, but these aren't even because we'll do another dimension. First of all, project geometry, because we'll want to project this geometry here to dimension off of it, and you'll notice that, oops. That is at 1.007. So it's not perfectly centered there. So how do you center this stuff? So first of all, what you want to do is, let me erase this dimension here. Okay, so erase that dimension there. First of all, what we want to do is we want to constrain these around this axis. So what we're going to do is we are going to do, we got several constraints over here. And notice how this is a symmetric constraint. So you read what it says there. You select 2 objects to be constrained, and then you select a line which makes them symmetrical. So first we're going to pick these 2 objects here. So pick this object with a shift key, and then we're going to hit this constrain button there. Oops, sorry. You have to hit the constrain button there. So you first click, once you hit it constrained, then you click on the line, and then the other line, and then you click the 3rd line, and it's now going to be constrained along this axis. And we want to do that for this same thing for the vertical lines too. So pick the 2, oops, and Z. Pick this line here and this line here, and now we're going to constrain them along the top and vertical axis. Now when we go ahead and do our dimension here, then we can make this 8 feet. Notice how it expanded equally on both sides, and we can make this, let's say, 16 feet. Okay, so that is our base for our vault. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this here. You don't need to double click on the actual sketch when you're naming it, just hold down the mouse then. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and type in foundation. And that's the sketch for the foundation. Now we'll take this and we'll extrude this out. Now we're going to extrude this into the negative plane, assuming that this is the horizontal plane is on the positive side. We're going to put this down into the ground. You don't have to, but I just like to get it. Oops, sorry. You got to type in 6 and then change the direction of it. Now it's not 6 feet, of course, it's 0.5 feet. This is assuming we're using feet on this, but I think our units are actually inches. So let's go back over here and we're going to do this, yep, 16 inches. So we're going to do 16 times 12. And then this one will be 8 times 12. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. And you can see that our we have a very shallow foundation there. So let's change that foundation extrusion. If we go to foundation here and right click and do, we already have dimension visibility. We want to right click on extrusion and do show dimensions. It's going to show us the dimension of 1/2 foot right there. So then you can actually just modify that dimension by clicking on it, and you can do 18 inches. I think our foundation is going to be, I'll make it 24 inches. Let's check out that extrusion again. We're going to edit the feature. And our foundation is set to that. Okay. I know what happened is when you do here, and you show the dimension, if I change this to 12 inches, it doesn't do anything. And what you want to do is you need to update this. And you go to manage and hit update, and then it updates that. So it's not an automatic updating on it. There might be a setting on an inventor that allows you to update that. Okay, so there's our foundation that we built. Now we want to do our walls. So we're going to do another sketch here, and we're going to click it on the base of that, and that'll lock it into that base. Now what we want to do is we don't want to measure these things off because we know our walls are going to, unless our walls are going to be inside of this foundation, they're going to be flush with the foundation. So what we're going to do is we're just going to project geometry. Okay. So now we have projected the geometry that we want. So that'll give us our walls there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do an offset. And we're going to put a dimension on that offset of 6 inches. So it's a 6-inch wall. We hit finish sketch, and now we have our walls, and they're constrained to the size of the actual object there. Now we're going to want to extrude these walls. So we'll go to extrude, click on the area that we're looking to extrude, and we're going to make this 8 feet tall. And there's our vault right there for doing that. Once we do that, you'll notice if we go to extrude to the foundation here, and we change this to, let's say 12 feet, it's going to update the sketch, and it'll automatically update that drawing. So now there's a relationship between these walls and that foundation. Let's say we want an inner wall. So there's 2 ways to do an inner wall. The inner wall can be drawn on the original sketch, or you can draw it on as a second object there. It'll blend them together. So what we'll do, the neat thing about doing it as a second sketch is that you have more control over things instead of trying to draw a line of walls within walls in the sketch. Just making it another part is another sketch is easier. So we're going to start sketch here, and we're going to sketch an inner wall right here. And here's our inner wall. We'll dimension this to be 6 feet. Oops. And notice how it moved there. Okay, so if we dimension that to be, like I did, 6 times 12, there's no constraint there. There's nothing that is saying that those are constrained to each other. So what we want to do is we want to constrain this to this portion right here. So what we're going to do is the coincidence constraint here allows you to make sure that things touch. So we're going to do a coincidence constraint from here to here. And notice how now it is touching that inside of that wall. And so we have that. And then the wall is going to be 6 inches wide. And then we're going to dimension from this side here. Let's say it's a 4-foot opening. So it'll be 48 inches. So that will always be the same, and it'll always be constrained off of there. We'll go ahead and finish the sketch. And now we have our inner wall. And what we can do is we're going to extrude that portion right there. Notice how it's slightly changing the color there. Now, when we want to extrude it, there's a couple of things we can do. We can do a distance, but if we do a distance, we're going to have to go in there and change it twice every time we do the wall. So we want to go to, and we're going to select to the face that we have there. So anytime that we change that wall height, it'll also change the inner wall height. And let me demonstrate that. We'll come here, and we will, let's see here, edit feature, and we're going to change that to a 10-foot wall height. And there we go. So now it's constrained to that. So now you have a foundation and some walls, and then you'll be able to come in here and do some other things. One of the other things you're going to have to do, of course, is how to do a hole in it. And so let's do a hole here. Let's say the pipe's going to be coming in from this side. We'll want to do a hole through, at least through the one wall. So we'll come in here, and there's 2 ways to do it. There's a linear hole. Well, there's many ways to draw a hole, but for this particular one, we're going to make it a 24-inch hole, and we're going to do it linear. First, we're going to select the face of it, and then we're going to say reference. We want to reference the inner wall here. Notice how I'm not able to select. It's hard to select that inner wall because you don't see it, but we want to select this face of the wall right there, and that'll be 24 inches there. And then reference 2 will be the floor, and we can select that there and maybe make it 36 inches. Okay, and let's flip it around to see if it matches up right. Yeah, that's the inner, that's the wall right there. And we hit OK, and that gives us a hole. Now this hole gives us a hole through the whole object, but what if our pipe went around and bent down this way? We obviously don't want that. So we would want to go ahead and edit the feature again. We're not going to go through wall. We're going to go to this face right here. Okay, so that's how you would put a hole in the wall for that. All right, make sure to save your work and keep everything going, and hope that helps.